Well, hello again, my friend. You caught me. I am doing some cooking. I was thinking, isn't it amazing how putting so many different ingredients, a lot of individual things, putting them together can make something wonderful? Have you ever thought about that? How you can be an individual, but when you put yourself with another, you can become something even more special. Well, there's a wonderful story about that. It's called Stone Soup, and I'm going to share it with you today. There were three monks, Hawk, Lock, and Sue, and they traveled along the mountain road. They talked about cat whiskers, the color of the sun, and especially giving. What makes one happy, Sue? Asked Hawk, the youngest of the monks. Old Sue, who was the wisest, said, Well, let's just find out. The sound of a bell brought their gaze to the rooftops of a village below. They could not see from so high above that the village had been through many hard times. Famines, floods, and war had made the villagers very weary and untrusting of strangers. They had even become suspicious of their own neighbors. The villagers worked hard, but only for themselves. There was a farmer, there was a tea merchant, a seamstress, a doctor, a carpenter, and many others, but they had little to do with one another. When the monks reached the foot of the mountain, the villagers disappeared into their houses. No one came to the gates to greet the monks. And when the people saw the monks enter the village, they closed their windows up tight. The monks knocked on the door of the first house. There was no answer. Then the house went dark. They knocked on the second door and the same thing happened. It happened again and again from one house to the next. These people do not know happiness, they all agreed. But today, said Sue, his face bright as the moon, we will show them how to make stone soup. They gathered twigs and branches and made a fire. They placed a small pot on top of it and filled it with water from the village well. A brave little girl who had been watching came to them. What are you doing? She asked. We are gathering twigs, said Lock. We are making a fire, said Hawk. We are making stone soup, and we need 3 round, smooth stones, said Sue. The little girl helped the monks look around the courtyard until they found just the right ones. Then they put them in the water to cook. These stones will make excellent soup, said Sue. But this very small pot won't make much, I'm afraid. Well, my mother has a much bigger pot, said the little girl. The little girl ran home and she started to take a pot. Her mother asked, What are you doing, dear? The 3 strangers are making soup from stones, she said. They need one of our biggest pots. Said the girl's mother. Stones are easy to come by. I'd like to learn how to do this stone soup. The monks poked the coals as smoke drifted up from the fire. The neighbors began to peer out from their windows. The fire and the large part in the middle of the village was a true curiosity to all of them. One by one, the people of the village came out to see just what this stone soup was. Of course, old-style stone soup should be well seasoned with some salt and pepper, said Hawk. That's true, said Lock, as he stirred the giant pot filled with water and stones. But unfortunately, we have none. I have some salt and pepper, said the scholar, his eyes big with curiosity. He disappeared and came back with salt and pepper and even a few other spices. Sue took a taste. The last time we had stone soup of this size and color, carrots made the broth really sweet. Carrots, said a woman from the back. I may have a few carrots, but just a few. And she ran off. She returned with as many carrots as she could carry, and she dropped them all in the pot. Do you think it would be better with onions? Asked Hawk. Oh, yes. Maybe an onion would taste good, said the farmer, and he hurried off. He returned in a moment with the 5 biggest onions you had ever seen, and he dropped them into the bubbling soup. Now, that's a fine soup, he said. The villagers all nodded their heads, and smell was very pleasant. But if only we had some mushrooms, said Sue, rubbing his chin. Mushrooms. Several villagers licked their lips. A few dashed and returned with fresh mushrooms, and noodles, and pea pods, and cabbage. Oh, something magical began to happen among the villagers as each person opened their hearts to give. The next person gave even more. And as this happened, the soup grew richer and smelled more delicious. I imagine the emperor would suggest we add dumplings, said one villager. Oh, and bean curd, said another. What about cloud ear and mung bean and yams, cried some others. Ah, taro root and winter melon and baby corn, cried other villagers. Garlic, ginger root, soy sauce, lily buds. I have some, people cried out, and off they ran, returning with all they could carry. The monks stirred the pot bubbling. How good it smelled, how good it would taste, how giving the villagers had become. At last the soup was ready. The villagers gathered together. They brought rice and steamed buns. They brought likey nuts and sweet cakes. They brought tea to drink, and they lit lanterns. Everyone sat down to eat. They had not been together for a feast like this for as long as anyone could remember. After the banquet, they told stories, they sung songs, and they celebrated long into the night. Then they unlocked their doors and took the monks inside their homes and gave them a very comfortable place to sleep. In the gentle spring morning, everyone gathered together near the willows to say farewell. Thank you for having us as your guests, said the monks. You have been most generous. Thank you, said the villagers. With the gifts you have given, we will always have plenty. You have shown us that sharing makes us all richer. And to think, said the monks, to be happy is as simple as making stone soup. The end. Isn't that a very special story, boys and girls? The people in the village did not have a whole lot, but they each had a little to give. Many times we're like that as well. Many times we think we don't have anything to give, or so little that it wouldn't make a difference. Never let that hold you back to give just a little. Because if you give a little, and someone else gives a little, and someone else gives a little, then we get something spectacular. Just look in your communities today, and I bet you can see a lot of little giving here and a little giving there is becoming something huge. Talk with your parents about it. See what they have seen in the news, maybe in the newspaper, maybe right outside in your neighborhood. Has each person given a little led to something big? It's a wonderful thing to think about. As always, have a great day, and I will see you soon. Bye. Let's cook.